shlok which I came across because I really appreciate this, the performing dance form that we have in Bharat. So it goes like, Agre Vaham Prishte Bhanu Uttare Tatha Paschime Eka Varta Ganapati Uttare Dakshini. And the meaning goes like, in the front there is fire, in the rear there is sun, in the south there is Ganapati, in the north there is moon. So this, in limited few words, captures the beauty of Lord Nataraj. Whom we also call, I can see children nodding their head, I'm glad. So it tells us the story of creation, preservation and destruction, the beauty of Lord Shiva, the beauty of the dance god whom we call as Nataraj. So, for me, we have art comes in different forms, in paintings, in writing, in photography, in different expressions. But to me, dance is I'm a little biased towards dance because I find it to be a kind of performing art where the expressions are endless, where the expressions are exactly telling what the artist wants to say. And as a devout Shivite, as a devout Bhakt of Lord Shiva, whenever I see any classical dance performance, to me I don't see that artist performing. In that artist I see Lord Shiva. So in that artist, whenever I watch, I always have that sense of submission, that sense of respect. Because to me that person is representing Lord Nataraj. So today these three wonderful ladies sitting next to me are actually forms of Lord Nataraj. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here and talking about this wonderful event with the topic which we have is dance, the divine form of expression. I think I start with Priyanka first. We all know that Priyanka is an accomplished Kathak artist and has student. In fact, her student had performed beautifully yesterday at the inaugural function. So, Priyanka, just wanted to understand that Kathak to me appears like a gentle breeze, or a soft wave on the river. How do you, see divinity coming into this way through this dance form?
Very warm good morning to everybody. Hi. I'm so glad and I just wanted to thank Raisoni OCLF that they have thought of calling me here, and I'm so privileged that I'm sitting with these wonderful ladies. Since yesterday I've been talking to Anuja and Avanti, and I'm like in awe of them. And I know Honey for a long time now, and she has bought this Mohiniyattam to Nagpur. Till now, but I have seen her performing. That is why it's like visually she has bought. I am a Kathak dancer, and right now we have all classical dance forms here on the stage. Kathak. It gets connected to the audience very easily. Why? According to me, because I am a classical dancer, I know, I have read about it, I have learned Bharatanatyam for 1 year, till Alanku I have completed. Because of the language, it gets connected to the audience very easily. And when we are saying today's, I just want to weigh from the topic, divinity. It's not about Kathak, it's not about Bharatanatyam, it's not about Mohiniyattam or any classical dance forms. When we start our dance, it starts with a Vandana. A very beautiful thing classical dance invite in all the children is, मैं हिंदी में भी बोलना चाहूँगी, सबको सुनना पड़ेगा, समझना पड़ेगा. हम रोज उठ के हमारे माता पिता को नमस्कार नहीं करते. But when we enter the dance class or a classical dance form, Every time we enter the class, we touch the feet of our Guru. So, according to me, classical dance is imbibing divinity from the start when they enter the dance class. I also think that every day I won't touch the feet of my mother and father. They are superior, they have a place in our heart. But there is a different connection with our Guru. And divinity is like we start the dance and we get the feel of this Guru Vandana Kahe or Saraswati Vandana Kahe. We start with that. And in every सामने करते समय सामने हजारों के ऑडियंस हो, लेकिन हमने जो हमारे आराध्य देवता देखे हैं, हम उसी को देखते हैं. So divinity is like dance is divinity. It's so important कि हम इस फॉर्म के लिए हम पूरा अपना तन मन धन उसी में देखते हैं और पहुंचना मुश्किल है लेकिन कोशिश करते हैं. So it's like that. So I wanted to give time to everybody. So I rest my thing over there because we have got only 40 minutes and if we talk, we'll talk on and on and on and we'll not be able to stop it. So we can have a thing with Anuja and Anne.
Thank you, Priyanka, for that beautiful explanation. And I really wanted her to go on and on. Again, मेरे कानों को कथक चल रहा था. Priyanka बोल नहीं रही है, कथक कर रही है, ऐसा लग रहा था. But moving on to the session, and she rightly pointed out that we have limited time. So I was always curious, and I wanted to put this across to Anuja that when Lord Natraj, we see his statue, we see his idols and everything, we see a male and a feminine and a male energy in that. So Ardhanareshwar. So when these classical dance forms are being how do you see divinity in this Ardhanareshwar form? So can you please, thank you.
First of all, I can keep listening to you all day. It was so beautifully expressed, and I was just telling them at the start that Hindi kuch malum hai, and you can hear the thick Tamilian accent, So I told them, I just gave them a warning. And she talked about Vandana. That's a universal theme in dance. In Tamil, we'll just say Vandanam. It means the same thing. And it's such a beautiful concept, and it's another indication about how in India we have different languages, different cultures in every state. Forget every state. You travel a few kilometers, you'll be in a place where they speak a different dialect. That's the beauty of India for you. And yet we are connected through music and dance. And therein you see the working of divinity. And to get to your question about Lord Shiva, Nataraja, Ardhanareshwara, that's a fascinating question for me, both as an author who writes about Indian mythology and as a dancer who explores this concept in a more practical sense. Interestingly, when it comes to Bharatanatyam, it is practically inseparable from Nataraja, the Lord of Dance, and yet, if you go to the roots, if you go back to Kashmir actually, where it all began, if you ask me, where the Natya Shastra was written by Bharatanatyam. Interestingly, there is no mention of Nataraja at all. Okay, because Nataraja came much later during the age of the Cholas, and yet you will feel a common. I think when Bharatanatyam wrote his Natya Shastra, the idea was that this magnum opus, this beautiful text devoted to dance, it will keep evolving in order to survive. That it will reflect the divinity of every age, and not just the divinity, the practical demands of every age. Whether it is the Natya Shastra, whether it's the Kama Sutra, whether it's Ramayana, Mahabharata, whether it's Indian mythology itself, that is the idea. Nothing is written in stone. This is it. We can't say this is it. It's done. Yeah, because we keep adding. Because as dancers, we don't just learn the steps, go on stage and come back. Okay, you put a little bit of your heart, your soul. Yes, and you breathe life into this, and this art form breathes life back into you. So the audience give you their love, they give you their respect, their admiration. It can be so many. Sometimes they hate you also. They look at the dancer. It's not always vanilla ice cream and sunshine. Sometimes they listen to the dancer because dancers have such a glamorous image. So they'll be like, oh, look at them all dressed up on stage. But I was just telling, my wonderful co-panelist when we were just sitting in the lounge and talking. I was saying that dance, whether it's Bharatanatyam, Mohiniyattam, Kathak, any form of dance, modern, contemporary, it has one foot in the realm of the sacred, the spiritual, one foot in the realm of the practical, the profane. So you see a glamorous dancer on stage, you see we wear the ornaments, the paraphernalia of dance, but most of the time when we go to perform, when the full costume is worn, you've tied everything in place, and then somebody has to piss. It always happens. Somebody has to piss. So you remove everything and you take them to the loo. And this is also probably from personal experience, no? So I'll be thinking, leave aside, I prepare myself for that performance. Leave aside ego, empty yourself, go there. And it's not about you, it's about music, it's about dance. That's older than us. Music and dance was here before we were born. To be here after you're gone also. Only the music and dance is forever. You are impermanent. I'm thinking these profound thoughts, and I had to go on stage once and I had to perform this Sanchari. We call it Sanchari in Bharatanatyam. It's just, a little story you use to demonstrate a bigger theme in the dance. So I was performing the Sanchari where this girl gets hit by a truck in an accident and she goes flying. So I'm supposed to do a cartwheel on stage and all the kids were excited about it. But just before it was my turn to perform, I'm wearing this sari which is tied like this, which means you can't remove it like a pant. It's a production. And I had to go to the loo. And here I'm performing a cartwheel with a full bladder. So these are the things that keep you anchored. It makes you realize how insignificant you are compared to, there's this pattern in the universe, this rhythm that governs all in existence. That's why you have the Damru. You show Shiva with the Damru and the beats, Om Namah Shivaya, Om itself, the primal incantation, the power of it, right? So, that's what that pattern, that rhythm in the universe that governs all in existence. The true artist is one, I think, who manages to capture an infinitesimal speck of it. And you're connected to the divine. And through you, the audience is also connected. And that is the beauty of what we do, why we do it, even though we have embarrassing experiences, why we do it after marriage when your knees are screaming at you, the spinal cord is screaming at you.
We just cannot leave this. Once you are into it, we just cannot leave. It's part of our breathing.
The pressure is worth the pain. The pressure is worth the pain. My husband has always said, who asked you to go jump on stage? Why don't you just retire? And this is why the connection with something that is greater than you. Absolutely.
Thank you, Anuja. That was beautiful. And when you were talking about the Bharatmuni piece, when you said that Natraj was something that was created later in the Chola dynasty, that was a revelation for me because
it's for me also.
Yeah. And then I connected because when we pray in Kashmir to Shiva, I've never seen the Natraj picture there. So now I know why I never saw the picture there.
Certain things get evolved here also. Many. Since yesterday we were listening to Dev Datta Patnaik and on the way we were like, बहुत सी चीजें जैसे आप लोग आज यहाँ बैठे हैं, कितनी चीजें आपको ऐसी लगी कि अच्छा ऐसा था. You get connected, isn't it?
And this again, all of them are beautifully putting it. कि हम लोग everything is just merging. That's the beauty of Bharat. That's the beauty of the land we are on. We're always constantly and actually we're practically experiencing that from yesterday till today. The different sessions and we are evolving and we are learning and we are unlearning and we're acquiring so much. So and that's the beauty. I'm sure you all know that a sitting limestone catches moss. So none of us is a sitting stone. We all are living stones. So yeah. So my next question is for the dentist in the panel. So she is not just a Bharatanatyam and she's also learning Mohiniyattam. So this question is for you. All these dance forms like Odissi and all have a very heavy tone of spiritual power to it. Were they always like this, or did they get evolved, improvised over time from the inception, from the beginning to now?
So yes, I'll start from Natya Shastra again and come to the question. When in Natya Shastra dance, when cricket dance, Natya Veda, it was only actually for entertainment, proper entertainment. They want something soothing for the ears and eyes and something good, to feel good. It was not actually intended to be a divine thing. And there is, in Natya Shastra, there is nothing written like you have to do dance to please God. It actually, though we have Rangamancha Puja, each corner we have this a specific word Brahma and this and like that, but that is before performance. You can take anything from Mahabharata and show a performance, but it was never to please God. But later on, I think, this sacred, the divinity thing was brought into the dance, all the dance forms, and again it got adulterated, and which again went to entertainment, again to the divinity. So, like she said, it's amazing. So, and also, when a dancer performs, people say, when we say divine, we always think it's bhakti. Bhakti can have so many layers. Like when we do Ashtapati, it is definitely bhakti, but it is so erotic, so sensual. The Radha has bhakti, but I don't think that bhakti is like she's seeing him as Lord. It is sensual completely. And when Nayika is waiting for Shiva, she's angry, but there is bhakti. So bhakti has so many layers. Then again, in Viraha, when the Nayika is waiting for Swati Padmanabha, there most of the Nayika are, upset, sad. She's not angry, but she's keep waiting. So I think bhakti, when we say divine, it is what? All the human emotions, whatever we do, the divine thing actually is something when we look or we find ourselves and when we connect to ourselves, it can be through erotic, sensual moves, it can be through anger, it can be through whatever the sadness you have, pathos, and sometimes Veera. Even we are showing a Veera Bhava and depicting Lord, any Lord, Shiva or Ganapati or Muruga, Kartikeya. There is bhakti. So bhakti is something I believe is not just to just divine. No, there are a lot of layers into it. So it can be admiration, it can be proper love. Like Meera had proper husband kind of love. She really wanted, if you read the chapter poems up, so she's asking him to come to the chamber and make love. So she's married to Raja, and she's saying that, remove my choli. And also, just imagine what bhakti is that. That is bhakti, but there is a layer. So, and again, Ashtabhakti, it's so erotic. Then we come to the Nayikas who are upset, who are praising the Lord. And then we have Shabari. She does not want anything. That is again bhakti. So divinity, I think, changes or it differs from one person to person, and also every time you are on stage, even doing Ashtapati, 100th time you are doing it, it's a different bhakti. And so divinity is, it can keep changing, it can keep improvising each time, and like you said, did God improvise? Yes. Devadasis were doing their duty, definitely. But every day doing the same thing, I don't think they were actually, maybe, most of them, maybe, but it was their duty to perform in front of God without any audience. So just repeating the same thing, monotony was there. So were they actually divine, or were they able to connect to God every day? Like I'm not claiming that every time I perform on stage, I connect to God. We try, that's true. She said we try. But most of the time, before going to performance, we have so many thoughts. Oh, my kid is having fever. Oh, my dad is this. Next tomorrow I have to do this. So sometimes we just cannot be that sacred and divine while performing, but we try. Once you are on the Rangamanch, we completely try our best to connect to the divine. So there are a lot of parameters of divinity, and each person has different connection, a different way of connecting to God. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Honey. Thank you so much. And my takeaway from this conversation, what she beautifully expressed, so beautifully expressed, is, bhakti in dance form, in whichever form you wish to, is your pure expression. Like in writing, Anuja would agree with me that whenever we write our first draft, we just write it in the flow. We never correct ourselves. We just keep writing, thinking, okay, this is because the first draft is always the emotion. So that's the kind of bhakti that we are also doing at that time. But these three ladies here are doing the performing bhakti for all of us to understand better. So, yeah, we can go on and ask few questions, many questions. From classical dance, if I can, for a short conversation, ask, do folk dances also have an expression of divinity? Like when I say the Rasilas, or what exactly do we express their divinity? Can I, Priyanka?
See, folk dance. Basically, I want the attention of the boys basically now. They must have been bored. ठीक है? Folk dance मालूम है सबको? Folk dance आया ही था एक कम्युनिटी को साथ में लाने के लिए. I'm talking about Maharashtra. ठीक है? So we have Povara, we have बताइए नाम बताइए folk dances के. चलिए get involved. I want the audience involved in this. चलिए महाराष्ट्र के folk dance के नाम बताइए. कौन बताएगा? लावनी. सबसे पहले लावनी. वाह. और गोंधर. मैम आप मत बताइए. आपको तो सब मालूम होगा. यहाँ से नहीं आया मुझे. यहाँ से कौन बताएगा? लावनी हो गया, गोंधर हो गया. I want some answers from this side. Girls are winning. You cannot win them. Come on, tell. एक कोई idea है?
I'm not sure, but Legion.
Legion is we cannot put it in. वहाँ से पोवाडा आहे. ऐकलंय का कधी पोवाडा? नाही. ठीक आहे. जाऊन आज महाराष्ट्राचे फोक डान्स याच्यावर आज सगळे जाऊन सर्च करते. सो फोक डांस इज भक्ति है उसमें, क्योंकि इसमें हम गोंधर करते तो वो अम्बा देवी सा गोंधर करती है. ठीक है ना? सो इट्स टोटली फॉर द देवी. बट बेसिकली फोक डांस हैज बीन evolved for community entertainment. क्या था पहले? क्या था? कुछ नहीं था. गांव में सब लोग को एक साथ लाने के लिए. किसी ने मेरी कॉम देखा है? देखा है? आपने देखा होगा मणिपुर साइड में उनके यहाँ जब कोई फंक्शन भी होता है तो भी वो डांस करते हैं. इन शिमला तो शिमला तो एखादा कोई फंक्शन हो या कोई महोत्सव हो तो वहाँ पे एक डांस चलते रहता है. सो इट्स अ फॉर्म ऑफ एंटरटेनमेंट बेसिकली. But when it comes to classical dance, we have a shastra. It starts with shastra. कुछ तो भी पकड़ के रखने के लिए है. 5,000 years पहले से.
Yeah. Because when we were coming here on our way, Priyanka narrated a beautiful shloka. Beautiful shloka before, because she said whenever they go to the stage and whenever they perform, they all told me this beautiful shloka. So if you can please.
It's a Shiva Stuti. Angikam bhuvanamyasya vachikam sarvamaham aharyam chandra taradikam tvam satvikam shiva. तो हमारा शुरू ही होता है शिव से, सरस्वती से, विष्णु से. तो बेसिकली क्लासिकल डांस इज लाइक दे हैव अ शास्त्र. तो वहीं से वो उगम होता है. तो डिविनिटी इज देयर कूट के. यानी वो हम कहीं जाने ही नहीं देते उस चीज को. एंड आई जस्ट वांट टू पुट वन थिंग फ्रॉम द कथक पर्सपेक्टिव कि कथक बहुत फेमस क्यों हुआ है. कथक कौन से कथक डांसर को सारे लोग जानते हैं? one big name. So that is why बिरजू महाराज जी ने इसको बॉलीवुड में लाया, बट उसके कारण एक हुआ है कि now watching all these things on TV, I feel very bad that वो देख के everybody is now a Kathak dancer because of that semi-classical, उसको एक जो touch हुआ है, तो कुछ तो भी steps करके Kathak dance. जो मैं कहना चाह रही हूँ, मैं क्यों ये point कहना चाह रही हूँ, because I've got such a accomplished panelist कि भरतनाट्यम और any South Indian dance forms, मैं उनको ये वर्ड देना नहीं चाहूँगी, लेकिन वो they are rigid, और वो rigidity के कारण they have their roots पक्का. Nobody will touch them या उनको dilute करने में कोई हिम्मत नहीं करेगा. So we are facing these things in Kathak at this moment कि semi-classical उसको जो एक touch आ गया है, तो चार चक्री मार लिए, तो they are Kathak dancer. What we are doing in it, all our big Kathak gurus are so worried that what we are doing for past 50 years. So folk dance is, coming back to her question, folk dance definitely have the divinity side, but it's for entertainment. It's for a community gathering.
Fun. Like the Bhangra.
Bhangra. So it's like they do Lodi on that with the harvest. So it's like for all the people gathered there, they wanted to have certain good things, certain what we can say entertainment. So for that folk dance are there.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Priyanka. You know, while she was expressing the folk dance and talking all of the Maharashtrian dance, for a second I was taken to Turkey, where it's a popular picture where we see the dervish standing under a light. So, I mean, what do you think? Is that also a form of expression of submission to the Almighty, to the powers above?
So I'm glad you brought up the dervishes because there's a certain wild beauty to Sufi mysticism.
Right.
And Priyanka beautifully spoke about the value of entertainment when it comes to folk dance. And I've always felt that we should, she also spoke about the rigid traditions in which the southern dance forms are rooted. The beautiful thing about all this is the paradox of it. Sure, Bharatanatyam is governed by very rigid rules, but within the parameters of those rules, you can find so much freedom, so much wild euphoria when you surrender to this tradition, to the weight of this tradition, and therein you see the contradiction. On the one hand, when kids will say, why do we have to hold our hand like this? Why do we have to have this straight spine? Yes. But once you surrender to these forces which are greater than you, there is so much beauty, there is so much freedom which you are free to explore however you see fit. So, there are the rules there are no rules. Hani also spoke about the erotic element in bhakti. There's a way of looking at it. Bhakti itself is considered in many formats to be the highest expression of love, of Shringara Rasa. So that is it. It all comes down to love. It's the same with the dervishes. They're talking about it's a sort of a break from the strictness, the rigid structure of Islam. Okay, where they talk about how science and spirituality can coexist side by side. Some of the greatest achievers, the scientists, they would have had so much. They would have been rooted in their spirituality. Today we make such a distinction between the right and the left. The right are religious and they're rigid, and the left are full of liberal values. It's all about building bridges. That's what the dervishes did through the freedom of movement, which brings people of so many races together. It's like the Sufi mystics, they developed this Gira tiles, which you see when you go there, where it's all interlocking tiles. There's so much symmetry to it, like how we all belong together, and the link is music and dance, it's entertainment, so the sensual pleasures which she mentioned in Ashtapadi or Kshetriya's Padams, they are highly provocative, erotic. Okay, and this, so much practical sense to it. Like the Dasis, for example, it's a dicey business when you look at the history of the Dasis, no? So they are supposed to be the wives of God. But practical necessities dictated that they performed for God's representatives on earth. It started with kings, later it was the white Sahids. So they performed because they needed to make ends meet. They had so many people dependent on them. So my point here is, why can't these paradoxes coexist? That's the point of it. Why can't sensual pleasures open the portals to spiritual enlightenment? So whether it can be from a folk song, it can be from a bottle of booze. Who knows what's at the bottle of booze? At the bottom of that, maybe enlightenment is there also. So I think a well-adjusted mind, there is no distinction between right, wrong, good, bad, evil, and all that. Everything, there's room for everything in the world. It's all about balance. So
And the perception.
and be open to truths that you can't articulate, that you can't comprehend, but you can still feel it, that it's there. And you reach out to it through movement, through the wild freedom that you find in movement, which is governed by the beat that holds all in existence, like I said. We are all slaves to the beat, to the rhythm.
Like she said, it has a strict, it is codified. All the classical dance forms, 8 classical dance forms are codified, have a structure. But if you have seen, the Natya Shastra was written in 2nd century BCE, and the Nataraja came 6th century Christian time. So the Nataraja was never there. The Natya Shastra is there. So when we say the dance was codified and there was a Shastra, what was before that then? There was Agama tradition. So, Agama means oral tradition. So, that the scripture was written, but definitely dance was there before. Because when we see the dance history, global history, not Indian history, global history, human beings were cave humans. And when they started hunting, the main thing was to have food. Once they started hunting and have food, they started making horn from the, whatever remaining parts of the animals and drums. And they started making sounds and they felt it good. And they started dancing, that is called folk dance, or we call it hunting dance when we study. So, one thing is sure, you need to work, you need to eat, but what after that? One thing that connects is dance and music. Entertainment. You need to open up, you need to liberate. The dance music is something, a path to liberation. So I believe from there, then came the harvest festival. Again, after food, whatever we eat, what we get grains, but what we need finally is happiness, liberation. So then like that, then came the classical dance. So few people sat down, had a codified structure to dance, but Bharatanatyam which evolved in